The film begins in Villahuan, where we see that those who they are excited for Christmas. While in a cave near the town lives a creature called the Grinch who hates Christmas. The Grinch lives next to his dog Max, who is he who prepares coffee for him every morning, and that helps him in all his activities. The Green sits on the table to have breakfast, but he realizes that he no longer they have food, and he begins to remember that he finished all the food, eating by depression as far as the Grinch decides to go. Next to his dog Max there was someone to get more food. The Grinch comes to the villa and we see that he behaves very bad way with other people because he hates Christmas. Some singers begin to chase the Grinch, so he runs away. Until you get to the store, the Grinch and his dog Max start shopping Christmas and continue to bother the other people while in a house. We are introduced to Cindy Lou's, which lives with her mother and her twin brothers. Cindy Lou leaves her house and goes to great speed to deliver a letter to the postman. Accidentally collides with the Grinch and he loses her letter without dilute, apologizes and begins to say that letter was his wish list for Santa. Later we see that his letter reappears while the Green is spying on a person to try to leave without him seeing, but we see that he didn't make it and that person comes down to the Grinch, greets him and claims him for his Christmas decorations, and the man says that this Christmas will be 3 times more larger than the previous ones. The Green starts laughing as he thinks she is a joke and goes back to the cave in where he lives. It gets dark and we go back to the city where we can see all the Christmas lights while the Green is I was on top of the mountain observing the city. We return home of Cindy Lou's and she plans to go to the North Pole to talk to Santa about something very important, but her mother tells her that she is far away, so she decides best stay. We return to the cave of the Grinch and we see that he is having breakfast next to his dog Max. Then they start to play a game of chess, but suddenly he starts shaking, so they go out to see what happens and realize they are carrying a Christmas tree giant. The Grinch says he doesn't will allow and that will get rid of the tree. We began to see that in the city are preparing for the illumination of the Christmas tree, and we see that everyone he is putting on his Cindy ornament. Luz meets with her friend and tells her that she plans to stay up to meet Santa Claus and ask him to please help his mom because she works a lot. We begin to see what they are about to light up the tree while the Grinch prepare a catapult to stop them. But we see that the plan goes wrong and goes flying to the Christmas tree, causing him to be the person who lit. The Green gets sad because his plan failed and he begins to remember when he was a boy who lived only in the orphanage. We begin to see that the reason he hates Christmas is because the Grinch was always alone and never received even love. All the villagers who they began to sing together while the Gray was walking out of the city because he was lonely. We go back to the cave and he comes up with a idea to steal Christmas from him to all people. The next day the dog Mac is on his way to bring you his coffee, but we see that the Greens are already I was awake getting ready his plan. We begin to see what he plans: steal Christmas by becoming Santa Claus, but instead of giving gifts he will take them off. We go with Cindy Light and is on the way with his friend of his to his tree house. They begin to plan how they will meet Santa while the Grinch finds himself studying to be able to imitate him perfectly, then exits the cave to use a horn and call the reindeer. But we see that it did not work, so He starts walking in search of them and we see that they manage to find the green. He approached a reindeer and tries to capture it. But he begins to be dragged until he bumps into a tree, then is woken up by the reindeer and go back to the cave. While in the city without, Dilute met the friends of him so that they help catch Santa Claus. She says that she wants to capture him so she can talk to him. They tell you that they will help you because who are his friends, while the green is on his way to try steal a sled, but we see that discovered by a dog, so he starts to climb the wall and realizes account that inside the house are celebrating Christmas with family. Green if he manages to get on the roof, but we see that he is attacked by the dog, provoking that he begins to fall next to the sled and let them go on their way away from the place. We return to the cave and see that Max next to the reindeer Fred, they want to sleep in the Grinch's bed, to what he tells him to. If the next day they start breakfast, the three together at the table, then continue the preparations of the plan to steal Christmas, and we see that they are investigating the entire city, but Matt is distracted by some sausages, causing her to get out of control and crash with the Grinch. Then they return to the cave and meet account that Forehead is eating the cream whip. We begin to see that he has a model of the city which they use to plan the route they will take to steal the gifts and what distractions should avoid indoors, while Sheen and Lucy with their friends planning how to capture Santa Claus at Christmas. We return with him Grinch and we see that he fixed the sled to make it look like the real sleigh. Then they get on the sled and start practice the path they will take to arrive in the city, but suddenly meet new reindeer who they happen to be Fred's family, so that the Greens decides to set him free for him to return to his family on Christmas Eve. Who knows? Found wrapping gifts and taking family photos, while the Green is found doing the perfect outfit to do Santa Claus. Later we see that his dog Max will be the to pull the sleigh because the king did not go everyone in the city. They start going home to prepare for Christmas, and we see that Cindy begins to prepare her plan, while the Grinch restarts his plan. And they are on their way to the city to steal his Christmas. We begin to see that the Grinch entered the first house and that he is stealing all the presents like this. As he planned, later he continues to enter to the other houses to continue stealing the gifts of him until he only lacked one, which was the house of Signed and Lou. The Grinch enters excited to the last home and starts taking all the gifts, but he is caught by the trap that he left undiluted. Then she approaches to him to free him and ask him for a favor, that she helps his mother because she doesn't. She has time for herself. Cindy Lou. She gives him a hug, and then the Green leaves back to his cave thinking about the words she said to him. Begins to sunrise and all people are given account that they stole their gifts, while the Grinch climbed on a cliff to throw the gifts, but he realizes that all people find themselves celebrating even without having the gifts. We begin to see what is regretted what he did, and that his heart got bigger, so he jumped into the void to break the fall the gifts, and we see that he was saved by Fred with his family. Later they were on their way back to the city to return all the gifts that they stole. The Green, if he starts them, ask for forgiveness and says that he did it believing that he would fill his emptiness, but that it was not. Right after they start to go, I come back new, and we see that he gives her a gift to his dog Max. Suddenly they play the door, and we see that Cindy Light is presents with them to invite them to your home for Christmas. Dinner is made of night and we see him arrive at the green next to his dog Max to Cindy Lou's house where all people wish you happy Christmas and they are glad that he came. The Grinch and begins to say that he didn't really hate Christmas but he hated being alone, for which he is grateful he can be with all of them, and that thanks to Cindy Lou is a better person. Like that ends the movie. No forget to subscribe and leave a like and comment that more movies I would like to see on the channel. I greet you. This video are for 6 Patrol Javier, Naomi, World Wheeler X, and for William. No forget to comment those who want to leave in the next video.